I've been doing a lot of networking online, and I'm surprised to see how many people are advertising that they're looking for a new career or they're looking for another job or they're looking for a gig. And it made me think about the time when I decided that rather than be an entrepreneur, I was going to go out and get a job. And that's when I discovered the hidden costs of having a job. Hi, I'm Lorna Rasmussen, and I'm speaking to you from Costa Rica. I'll take you back to when I had been relatively young in my new career. And I was having some challenges. I had never really sold before. I wasn't what you would call a natural salesperson. And so I was having some challenges just getting my business up and going, because every business requires you to be a salesperson. Um, and I didn't quite understand. I hadn't gotten into the swing of things yet. And so I thought, well, maybe I should just take it easy and do it on a part-time basis. And I stepped back and looked at taking a job. Now, fortunately for me, my husband decided to participate in this, and he sat down with me and he did what is called actually a Ben Franklin. I guess it's how Ben Franklin chooses to do things and looked at things. But he said, it's a T, and you put on the pros on one side and the cons on the other side. And he went through and asked me some interesting questions, which had to do with costs. He asked me, what were the extra costs that I was going to incur by going and taking a job? Well, one obvious one was I had a child, so childcare was going to be a cost, and we estimated what that might be. And then he said, well, what about you'll be downtown or you'll be out in the suburbs, so you're probably going to have to buy lunches out there. So there's an extra lunches, every 20 lunches a month that I was going to have to incur. There was the travel to wherever it was I was going, and that would be an expense I would have to incur. And then we looked at things like a different wardrobe, depending on what kind of job I got. But I'd been out of the workforce for a while where I had to dress daily in a certain way. So there was a whole new wardrobe I had to take. There was extra taxes I was going to have to pay because home-based businesses give you a tax break. Well, that was going away. And so one thing by one after another, we started adding up the costs of my going out and taking a job. And he said, well, how much do you think you're going to make? And I came up with a number, which I really didn't know whether anybody would actually even pay me that, because again, I'd been out of the workforce for a while. I didn't know what kind of a job I would take. Well, the long and the short of it, as we added it up, each of those columns up, it turned out that I was going to be working for pennies. So that the actual advantage of having a job, which if you look at a job from an advantage point of view, you get, what you're going to be paid, your security, there's predictability, there's a social life around a job. I mean, we looked at all the positives, but the cost of having a job were astronomically higher than the cost of my continuing to work. And even if it was slower and took me more time, in the end, it was far better for me to stay where I was doing what I was doing. And my husband completely agreed. He said, this is something that you should do, because the cost of not doing it is probably far greater than the cost of doing it. And I went on to build a very successful business because I understood the hidden costs of having a job. And with that, I want to thank you for listening, and click the button below, because I've got a free webinar called The Absolute Best Way for Women to Make Money, and I'd love to share that with you.